جناب آقای سلیمانی بفرمایید.
Let me welcome Honorable Abbas Noyan, the Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, Her Excellencies, Ms. Lorena, the Swedish parliamentarian from the Left Party, distinguished Zainab Mazauri, the only daughter of the National Unity Martyr, respected intellectuals, social, civic, and cultural intellectuals of present, that you are all here today. And once again, all the audience who are watching us live, once again, my sincere greetings and assalamu alaikum to you all. The human history is full of genocides of various communities, but we have less knowledge about them. But the most tragic point is that some of the most barbaric and inhuman genocides are not on the surface, and they are hidden under the ground. Could you at least name 2 or 3 genocides that took place in the 19th century? The Hazara genocide in the late 19th century during 1890s is one of the most barbaric and inhuman genocides of the history that unfortunately the world is unaware of. World Directory of Minorities and Indigenous People, Encyclopedia Iranica, and many more international and national historians confirm that estimately 62% of the Hazara population was massacred and displaced during 1890s by King Abdul Rahman. And the result of this genocide and massacre was that thousands of Hazaras were displaced and they fled to other countries like Pakistan, Iran, and other countries. Now, it is really important to point out here that Abdul Rahman did not kill only Hazaras. He did kill other ethnicities, like his own Pashtuns, Uzbeks, Tajiks, and other ethnicities. But the scale of his killing campaign was too much extreme and barbaric on Hazaras that he committed a genocide against the Hazaras. The most important point here, if we talk about the if you talk about the justice for an ethnicity or community, it doesn't mean that we have issues with other ethnicities or communities of the world. Of course not. Seeking justice for a single community or ethnicity doesn't mean having problems with other ethnicities. And no one should interpret these remarks wrong. I would like to highlight briefly upon the background of Hazara Solidarity Day. Now, let's move towards the 21st century and see how the situation of Hazaras was in Quetta, Pakistan. The 21st century began in Pakistan with ethnic persecution, target killings, and terrorist attacks on Hazaras. And due to this all ethnic persecution and terrorist attacks on Hazaras, it resulted that on October 1st, 2011, the Hazaras all across the globe, the Hazara Diaspora, they stood up and protested peacefully in order to stop this ethnic persecution and terrorist attacks on Hazaras that it was going on in Pakistan. In 2013, all civil societies from Pakistan and across the globe, they stood in solidarity with Hazaras, and therefore from this day on, the 1st October is marked as International Solidarity Day of Hazaras. But I would love to discuss the present condition of our Hazara diaspora, not only in Afghanistan but overseas. Yuval Noah Harari, a professor and a historian, says, "The interesting point of studying history is not to predict what happens in the future based on human experiences and knowledge. In contrast, the interesting point of studying history is to form and shape our future by using the human experiences that we get from the history. This is the important point of studying history. And everybody, a Hazara or any other person, a Tajik or a Pashtun, should learn how to form and shape our common future based on historical experiences and knowledge. Now, the most interesting and I think crucial question is that we, the Hazara community, do we want to view ourselves as the victims of these all-mass killings, persecution, injustice, or as the survivors? To be honest with you, I need another chance to address this question. I cannot talk about this question today, but I do love to talk about the present condition of our people. Despite that the Hazara Diaspora, we have made a lot of effort in order to improve our condition based on socio-economic, social or economical situation, not only in Afghanistan but in other countries. Unfortunately, these efforts have not been effective enough. We still have a lot of problems, and the problems are really typical and we can witness them among ourselves. But I would love to point out two important questions or problems that we face right now in the diaspora society. The first issue is that we have an individual act. The overwhelming majority of Hazara Diaspora activists are individualists. Individualists, as opposed to collectivists, try to do things individually and independently. But when it comes to problem solving, we prefer communal solutions. I believe that collectivistic societies are better at decision making and they are better to find the solutions. Sometimes the individualistic approach towards problems can lead to misunderstanding and division of members of society because of many different solutions, but less room for talks and communication. Nonetheless, it is true with the case of Hazara Diaspora as well. Unconsciously or unintentionally, their individualistic behavior has resulted in the dispersal, division, and creation of more sensitivity among Hazaras and even with the host countries. Thus, in order to have the desired outcome, we all need to work collectively and inclusively. And the second problem is that we deal with impractical tasks. The second reason for the ineffectiveness of activities of the Hazara Diaspora is the impracticability of their activities. The successive failure in implementing some theoretical ideas and the lack of information about the rules and regulations of the host countries are some major factors of Hazara's failure. Literally, some ideas or solutions are good in theory, but they are really challenging to implement them on the ground. And therefore, we all need to work as a collective team, as a collective society. We must be united among ourselves and then come on the ground of unity to work with other ethnicities and societies. And being individual and working individually is not a solution, and it's not going to be effective for anyone, for any society, even for Hazaras. So what are the solutions of these problems that we face right now? The first solution is vast and extensive cultural works. We need to take deep and considerable cultural steps. Hazaras living in other countries, especially Western countries, are privileged with better socioeconomic status and quality education. This privilege helps us to tackle the human resources like academics, professional writings, researchers, students, and activists, that we should make a vast investment on cultural platforms. And we are lacking a lot of human resources. We need to work as a collective team in order to refill those all platforms based on cultural perspective that we are lacking right now. And we can share those all human resources through social media with other fellow human beings. Social media is a common platform in our everyday life, and through social media we can engage with anybody across the globe. And the second solution is the establishment of mobilized, principled networks and organizations. The first one, networking, inbound and outbound. Humans are social animals that are always in need of interactions with each other in order to survive and maintain a social life. And Hazaras also have the same features. In order that we should maintain our social life, we need to build strong networks and connections. Through networking and building strong connections, we can understand each other and we can know how we are feeling in different corners of the world. And that will make us to come nearer and struggle for a common goal, and that is peace, not only for ourselves but also for the entire humanity and world. And the B part of this solution is the politicization of the young generation and economic resources. The most important part of this time is that we need to politicize the young generation of our community, because only power plays the important role in politics, and everybody is running after power. Why? Because power gives us resources that can be economic or political. If we encourage the young generation that they should enter to parliaments in different countries of the world, then we get political power, and political power follows economic empowerment as well. This is very important that we must invest on this. Ultimately, whether we succeed or not, I don't know. But I do know one thing, that if we work collectively as a united team, we can not only achieve the goals that we set for ourselves, but also we can achieve global goals in cooperation with other communities and ethnicities. And that is what we must do as a human, as a Hazara. We all believe in humanity, therefore we must work for humanity and for ourselves as well. As Martin Luther King says, take the first step in faith. You don't need to see the whole circus, just take the first step. Therefore, every step at the beginning seems unrealistic and really challenging, but having faith with a wide perspective and just keep on. Everything will be fine at the end. Thank you all.